Hello and welcome to Shak's Bass Podcast. In today's episode, I'm delighted to be joined by bass player Stephen McGrath to chat all about bass. How are you doing today, Stephen?
Good. I'm delighted to be here. Haven't done one of these in a long time, so when you got the email off you, I was like, oh, nice one. It's been a while. I wonder, can I talk about bass for 2 or 3 hours still?
Well, I was really happy that you accepted. So I'm a really big fan of your bass craft podcast that you've done in the past. I've followed that for quite some time. I remember picking up one of your T-shirts back then.
Oh, nice.
Followed
one.
your YouTube channel and that, and also listening to one of your Crow Black Chicken albums the other day, Pariah Brothers. I was really getting into the track Bleeding. Great stuff. And I understand you've got a new album coming out this summer.
Yeah, Ghost Dance. I think the first single will be out like in this next week, and then the whole album will be out by June. Took first album in 8 years, so yeah, it's exciting. You kind of you're not as prolific as your career goes on. Like, we used to do an album every 2 years, then one every 5 years, and now I don't know. I'll be about 70 by the time we do another one.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing that, and I can see that you've got it pressed to vinyl, so we'll talk about that a bit later on.
Right here, yeah, we can talk about that later. First pressing there.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is so cool. I've done albums in the past, but I've never had one on vinyl, so I want to ask you about that. But what I was thinking to start it off, so if anyone doesn't know who you are, could you just give like a bit of a brief backstory on how you ended up sort of doing what you do in the bass world? Because I know you're playing in bands, you teach, you've done a master's in bass, so kind of like a brief backstory of how you ended up doing all that.
Yeah, well, I've been in the original rock band, the Crow Black Chicken, for years now. We were going nearly over, God, are we going 12 years? A long time anyway. And then I suppose in 2016, I just joined up Instagram. My partner, Rebecca, asked me to do it, said, oh, why aren't you on this? Everyone else is doing it. And then I just started posting. I really got into it. And then around 2020, I did the podcast. And it's been a slow kind of evolution of getting into this kind of online world. Not really with any goal in sight. Maybe a little. We can chat about that later. It kind of broke me, and I stopped doing it for 2 years when I got into it too much. But yeah, and now I'm in like loads of bands. I've a few other original projects, and I'm kind of a gun for hire. And I don't really put up I'm a session musician, because when people put that up, it's usually bullshit. Like, who's emailing you to pay you to play on a track?
Yeah.
You have to be like proper big name for that, but I am available to do stuff, but I just do my own thing generally, writing tunes with people and releasing them, and just I enjoy the whole online world with the bass thing, and bass players are sound, so I've never really got any hate comments. A few, but nothing serious, just people being kind of anal about bass lines I put up and they weren't exactly right or something like that.
Yeah, I think you get those people with everything you do all over the place and stuff like that, don't you? Yeah. So how long have you been playing bass for now?
Well, it's my birthday on Wednesday, and I'm 39, and I've been playing since I was 17, so
Okay.
a while now.
Yeah. I think you're just a year younger than me, so it's my 40th this year. So yeah, we're not too dissimilar in age. So I've actually played in Ireland a few times. I've always found there's a great music scene over there. So how do you find the sort of live music scene in Ireland?
Oh, it's a shell of what it used to be. Like, when I feel very sorry for bands that are starting out now, like, and they're trying to get a gig. And compared to when we started, there was so many gigs, and there was a scene, and you could go to like every small town in Ireland had a little venue. Should we tour the whole country, like every county in Ireland up and down? It's a small country, and the towns would be small enough, so it was a good achievement that they had venues. But there's not a lot of venues left now. Like, we only play once a month with Crow Black Chicken, and then my other bands, we play a lot of local stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's not as good as it used to be, but I see it kind of coming back. There's a lot of teenage bands, and hopefully they'll bring it back by going to shows. But they're not great to go see live music, which is strange. I don't know, is that a generational thing or an internet thing? They like playing music, but they're not too good to go out and support bands. I don't know if you've seen that in the UK as well.
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to know as well, like, because with yourself, you probably think, well, I don't go out as much anymore, so I don't really know as much as I've got older. So I'm probably not aware of like what's going on and stuff like that. But it's probably like sort of early 20s, I think, when I was sort of we used to do a few small tours in Ireland. So I was a drummer before I played bass, and played in like sort of a technical death metal band. But we used to tour in Ireland with a band called Condemned. I don't know if you've ever heard them, but
No.
they used to play Dublin quite a bit and stuff like that. And we just did these little sort of minibus tours and that sort of stuff. Played in sort of the Limelight, Belfast and that sort of stuff a few times. But yeah, it's one of them things. I think I'd definitely say live music's dried up compared to what it used to be. Maybe it's just a sign of the times with a lot of people doing stuff online and stuff like that. And then, even like there's a lot less bands sort of touring because of the cost of it and stuff like that. I think, you'd get a gig like 2 or 3 gigs every week in Manchester when I was like coming up. And I think now it's like a few months before I see like a band I want to kind of go and see. I don't think they tour as often and stuff like that. Like, do you get many bands coming over where you Cork sort of way?
I'm near Cork, an hour from Cork. Not really. Like, you see a lot of the big names that don't come anymore. Like Steel Panther used to always play Cork, and I noticed they're only doing Dublin on this tour. And then Mastodon just announced their new tour. They skipped Ireland. Basically, the new thing is a band announces a European and UK tour, because they have to say that now.
Yeah.
And they skip Ireland every time, because you're kind of leaving mainland. You can drive to the UK from France, like you're on mainland Europe. But Ireland, you need to get a ferry, and it's too expensive. So bands are just skipping us now, which is crap,
Yeah. I think as well, I've noticed, like, because usually I'd go to gigs in Manchester. That's like my preference. I can get to Manchester or Liverpool. But a lot of the times they're missing sort of Manchester. I don't know if the venues are more expensive or if it doesn't make sense compared to other places they can play cheaper. But it's annoying sometimes when you really want to watch a band and then like the only gig they're playing is London, and it's like a 300 quid job just to get down there.
I know we actually don't. We play more in the UK than we do in Ireland, and we've never played in Manchester. I don't know what the story is like.
Yeah,
we played everywhere else.
Okay, yeah, you'll have to come to Manchester, because I did see you were touring a while ago, and I was going to try and get down, but I think the closest one was sort of Midlands way, so it was a bit of a drive. But I'll definitely have to check your band out at some point. Been getting into some of the albums, going through them on Spotify.
Well, you like the heavier stuff, because you picked like one of our heaviest songs. So
is it? Right?
I like the heavier stuff too. Like, so they'd be the tunes I'm into.
Yeah. So I mean, I like the groovy ones and the heavy ones. I noticed you had a bit of a bass intro on Freedom, but it's kind of like I'm a sort of metalhead from growing up. Like my first sort of stuff when I was like 10 was like Megadeth, Pantera, Slayer, all that sort of stuff. And then it never leaves you, that sort of stuff. So although I listen to all kinds of music, the roots of it are kind of that style of music. So I can feel that sort of groove, and I like some of the stuff as well. It's quite Hendrixy. It's that Hendrix side of blues I like, and I love all that Government Mule and stuff like that. So I can definitely hear the influences.
Fair play, you did your homework. They are the influences. So you're spotted. I am the metalhead in the band. I used to play a lot of metal when I was growing up, and still listen to it. A lot. You kind of grow out of bands, don't you? Like, but I like modern metal bands. Well, Mastodon aren't modern anymore anyway. They're kind of old guys, but I'm still into metal a bit. Like,
Yeah, that's good. So I'll tell you what we'll do is, so the first section, I kind of like to talk just about bass guitars, and then I call it first, last, best and worst. So I'll take each question in turn. So the first one is, what was the first bass guitar that you bought, and do you still have it?
Well, my mother bought it for me. It was do you know the brand Tanglewood?
Yeah.
It's because they're half owned by an Irish guy. So there was every music shop in Ireland had Tanglewoods.
I didn't know that.
Really nice bass. What was it? It was like a P bass, and I still have it. I turned into a fretless. So on the albums, if you ever hear a fretless, that's the one I ripped the frets out of, and that's my first bass. Just made it into a fretless, and I don't really play it live, but it's great for recording. I always take it out, and the engineers are always like, "Whoa, that sounds class!" Because when you put the round wounds on a flat on a fretless, it kind of eats into the neck more and gives you more of that moi, as they call it. I still have it. It's great bass.
Oh, that's good. And what was the last bass you bought, like most recent one?
I had a few of them out here. I was displaying them. It's that green one there.
Short scale.
The short scale,
Marcus Miller one. Yeah,
the U5. Yeah.
You're into your short scales, aren't you?
Yeah, I have a good few. I have the Alan Woody short scale. I have that one, and a few other ones to kind of knock around. I enjoy like that. They give more of a fundamental frequency, there's less overtones. So when you plug them into like lots of effects, they play better with the effects. So that's what I like about them.
Yeah, I'm really into short scales. It's kind of like I have this thing where it's like, why would you not want more bass? They just give you so much more bass, and then you go to playing like a standard scale after it, and you're like, oh, where's all that low end gone? It's amazing. Like, I know the mid range kind of cuts through on like a P bass and stuff, but there's nothing like that sort of really low fundamental that you get, and it's kind of like you say, when you're playing through like an octave pedal or effects, you're fully getting the signal passing through. It really pushes them and makes them sound great. So I think for recording, when you're using effects, you're probably best with a short scale just to get your parts down.
Yeah, it's great. I really like them. I don't have any active basses anymore. I have just one G&L, but all the electronics are ripped out or broken on it. But for that reason, they don't play well with the effects, so I kind of got sick of them and I sold them all. I had an M7 Sire, the one with all the buttons, which I hated.
Yeah,
I didn't know what the buttons did, even though I had the manual or whatever. The picture in front of me is like, and I kind of was thinking, it's kind of, I know this is probably, people would disagree with this. I just think it's kind of stupid having all them buttons on your bass, like, because at the end of the day, the front of the house engineer is going to be tweaking it. Like, you're never going to be, no one in the crowd or you can't really hear those tiny little changes in treble and EQ that you're doing on your bass. You just want a solid, good bass sound, and then the front of the house are going to mess with everything else. But I don't know, it works for some people, but for me, I will never buy a active bass again. I say that now, but if I'll have to see a really good one or hear a really good one, but it doesn't work for me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any active basses. I've kind of only got passive ones. So it's just for me, it's like plug in and play is the best way. So I want like as few controls as possible. Just turn it up, volume on full, tone on full, passive bass. And then if you have to make some, EQ tweaks on your amp, that's fine. But, the more you mess, the more I just think it takes away. But maybe different styles of music are different and different settings.
Maybe, and they're cool for slap bass a bit, like. But I saw, what's his name? One of these Instagram, YouTube guys was using a Fender Bronco with nylon strings in the studio for recording. I have a few Broncos because I teach bass for the council actually here in Ireland.
Oh yeah,
and they give me, I have loads of cheap basses because I have to give them to the students, and I kind of keep some of the good ones for myself. I'm just but I will give them back if they ask. So I got one really nice Bronco, and I must try that, putting the nylon strings on it and slapping it.
Yeah. I need to get a Bronco. I've thought about getting one as a bit of a mod project, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I like there's a sort of like a coral looking colour one. For about 150 quid, and I'm like, I like the look of that, so I might get it as for my son's first bass potentially. Well, I'll probably play it for 10 years and then let him have a go, sort of thing.
They're rubbish. They actually are rubbish. But they're good. They're good fun though to mess around on. But I bring it because if one of the kids breaks it or whatever, I won't be crying over it. Like so.
Yeah. So, what would you say the best bass you've ever played is?
I just like the Fender Aerodynes. I've got three of them. Like, I've got like all the versions of them. The ones made in Japan, the export only one, the one that they only sell in Japan, and whatever. There was 3 variations. I can't remember, but I have them all anyway. So I suppose I'm not a collector, but that was as far as I went. I bought all the types of Aerodynes, and that's my main bass really, like, that I play. But I suppose in different bands, I play different basses. Like I play in a country band, and I play that red square that you see behind me.
Oh yeah,
with flat wounds, and then I play in the Sun Merchant, which is more kind of we're kind of King Gizzard, we kind of band. We play loads of genres, and I play my Alan Woody in that and an Aerodyne. So, but in the rock, just for rock stuff, I think you can't beat an Aerodyne. It's just a absolutely awesome sounding bass.
Yeah, and do you have like sort of both pickups on that? Like it's a PJ, isn't it?
Yeah, I could literally just take out the jazz pickup. I never use it ever. So I might maybe for one song, for a bit of harmonics, but if it was gone, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I see. And do you have tone on full?
No, I'd switch it up, like, and I have Geezer Butler pickups in all of them because the stock pickups are actually not great on the Aerodynes, but because when you put in the Geezer Butler, you're like, wow, this sounds like a rock machine. It's unbelievable. And no, when I play more kind of, because I don't bother bringing 2 basses, so ideally I would be playing like flat wound strings with sponge for certain more kind of slow rootsy songs, but I just turn the tone down and dampen it with my palm, like, to get that sound with the Aerodyne.
Ah, right, cool. And what's good about them as well, I've never had one, but they're quite lightweight, aren't they? Because they're like a basswood body. So is it good for like long gigs? Because you basically don't feel like you got a bass on.
I have my main one here, my favorite. This is my favorite one, like, and it's super light, but they're actually contoured. You can see they're like a Les Paul.
Yeah.
Like that. And I have the drop D tuner on it. No, the thing that you can just go straight into drop D.
Yeah.
Just go. That's kind of good for a bit of a party trick. If you're playing a song in D and you push the tuner up you get it. It kind of goes, you go up, 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 and then you leave it back down. It goes back to the tonic. And if you do the same when you end the song in E, you can pull it down, and then push it back to the tonic. And people their mind is blown. Some people are like, "What the hell is going on?"
That's good. Have they all got jazz bass necks on them?
Yeah, they all are. They're really
comfy.
slim basses. There is a difference between the different ones. All right, the one with a pick guard is like a lot heavier than the other ones. So the Japanese only ones are way nicer.
Right, I see. Yeah, I'm a big fan of jazz bass necks, and like I got a P bass made recently, and I made sure I got a jazz bass neck on it. Sort of cheating because P basses normally have that sort of big neck and don't taper, but I just find them so much more comfortable that it's like ideal for me. I love P bass, the sound, but then I don't get on with the neck so much. So I love basses that have that sort of jazz neck on them.
Yeah, I'd be the same. Like I have a 5-string. I don't really play it, but the neck is like a monster on them. Like you really have to change the way. I just played. I got a 5-string. It's kind of, I got a lend of, a guy gave me one to fix up, and then I had to play a musical, and it's written on the musical you have to play a 5-string because lots of the parts end with this huge open B. And I really started to like that one. So I said to him, I'll make you a bass for a project bass. So, and he's an artist. So I made him like a Franken bass.
Oh, yeah.
Put like a portrait of Rory Gallagher on it. And then I took it back and I put it back together. So I have that 5-string, but I rarely play it. It's a nice one though, a square again.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So what would you say the worst bass you've ever played is?
I'd say that's easy. I bought a Stag fretless about 20 years ago. It was an absolute piece of rubbish. Like
How much was that?
I don't know. It was a lot dearer than it should have been anyway. It had this really bad fake ebony, and when I took it home and started playing it, my fingers were black. I was like, what? And it had like really, everything was crap about it. I'd say I took it apart and I just used the machine heads and the bridge for a different bass. I was like, this is just junk. I couldn't believe, and I haven't played a Stag guitar since. I've used lots of Stag equipment and it's rubbish as well.
Yeah,
not a great brand. Like,
yeah, I think when I had no money in the early days of being a drummer, I think I used to buy some cheap Stag cymbals, and they'd last about 3 gigs, and then I'd split them.
Yeah,
but, it's not the best stuff, but it's when you're on a budget, you know, you've got to shop within that sort of what you've got. Sort of thing.
I'd say you're better off saving up to get go up a little bit beyond higher than a Stag. Like there's like SX have great. I play lots of it. All the basses I have with the council, so I've played about 100 or 200 SXs over the last few years.
Yeah,
and they're all good. Loads of them. They're nice. The quality control is very good. Like, sure, that doesn't the bass player in Crewapin, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I can't believe she plays one of them. And if you heard the sound she gets, it's unbelievable. It's like a jazz bass, isn't it? I've had a look at them. They're dead cheap. And she just plays it straight into like a Fender Bassman, and she's got a compressor pedal, and that's it. And the sound's just unbelievable.
Yeah, well, that's one that doesn't come in a pack. A few of my students have the ones that don't come in a pack, and the quality is really good. Like, obviously, the pack ones are okay, but the next step up, like getting a Square Affinity or something, is a big difference.
Yeah. So, what bands are you currently playing with then? So you said Crow Black Chicken, you've got Sun Merchant, and then did you say you're playing in a country band as well?
Yeah, it's, I don't know, do we have a name yet? It's with this songwriter called Sean Deegan. He's currently recording his debut album. We kind of have a joke named the Benedictine Quartet, but they'll think we're like a bunch of monks in a choir. We go around touring with that. But that just started because we play once a month, and we used to drink a lot of this Benedictine liqueur, but I don't drink it anymore. It's horrible stuff. So that's good. Yeah, good variety there. Like, so we're writing the debut album with Sun Merchant at the moment. We've more than half it recorded. First single is out in July, I think. And I'm busy. I always liked doing original stuff, so I kind of get excited for that. I'm in a cover band now. I've never done that before, but it's kind of with the way the music scene had gone. I kind of figured, do you know what? The Sun Merchant guys, I was only getting to know them, and I was like, well, like we'll only get to play like 2 or 3 times a year playing this original music. So I was thinking, why don't the guys in the original band start a cover band playing stuff we like, you know, blues rock and Hendrix and a bit of Muse, all that kind of thing. We get to hang out. We trial the original songs at the cover gigs. We're getting to road test stuff and play together. So it's actually working out really well. I don't know if other people have thought of doing that, but it's a means to an end. You know, you get to get out and gig with the people and get to know them. Like,
yeah, that's a good idea. We were playing I was playing in a cover band for years, and then we kind of tinkered with the idea of doing originals. It was like the other way round. and then we just never got round to it. I found that some musicians are like kind of the more driven by original stuff, and the writers and the creative, and there's the ones who were just really good at playing and just like playing other people's songs. And I've always liked both, but I could never get them to kind of do the original thing. And I was kind of craving that, having done it in the past and stuff. But I think every project's got its own sort of thing. You've got to keep everyone happy, haven't you, in that? But it's a good idea, though. I've never really sort of, thought about it that way. With doing so few gigs, just to get you out there and kind of keep you sort of playing together and stuff. I mean, doing the few sort of original gigs, it's good to kind of get out and do some covers and stuff. So what sort of songs are you covering? What are the ones you kind of enjoying playing?
We do everything. We do Thundercat, we do Tame Impala, we do Metallica, we do Muse, we do Duran Duran, which is funny because we play in this blues bar in Cork, and Billy, one of the regulars, came up to me and said, "Great band, but never ever play Duran Duran in this bar again." So every time we'd play there, I wait for him, and he comes in, I hit straight into it.
What song is it?
Rio. No,
it's quite hard to play
killer
that,
bass line.
Yeah. It's got a bass solo in, hasn't it, that one?
Yeah, it's some bass line. It's so cool. It's fun to play, like.
Yeah, he's a top bassist, like, that's funny. So I know you teach the bass as well then. So did you say, so you do it through the council? Have you also got private students, or is this kind of,
have private students. I actually got an email 5 minutes before you came on, so that's really starting to build up lately. Maybe it's kind of the online presence and thing like that. And I only really got into the teaching, I've been teaching. I taught a lot of guitar, like the 3-chord trick, which was just to make a living.
Yeah.
And I really got sick of that, like. And I was like, I'd love just to teach the bass. I really enjoy teaching the bass, but it's hard to build up enough students. But at the moment, I'm nearly there now. I'm nearly teaching 100% bass, which is what I want. Good. I'm not going to pretend. It is what it is. I had to teach 3 chords on the guitar for years to make a living. But yeah, I love teaching the bass. There's so much to it. It's such a harder instrument to teach, really. Like, someone comes in to learn guitar and they're not going to be able to play their favorite riffs for years. It could be 10 years. A bass player comes in after 2 or 3 months, he can play all his favorite riffs. He can play Muse, he can play Metallica, he can play most things. You get the dexterity quick enough. So then your challenge as a teacher is to teach him the fundamentals. And it's just so much to do with the teaching the bass, with the theory and just coming up with stuff. So I'm really enjoying that now. I'm building up my resources, and I'm new to it. Like it's hard to be a bass teacher, I think, anyway. Do you teach like yourself?
I don't know, not at the moment, but I'm quite interested in kind of people's different approaches to teaching, because I think people learn differently. And like bass was my first instrument. So when I was 10, I got bass and played for a couple of years, but then I actually got a drum kit in my early teenage years, and then I played drums sort of semi-professionally for like nearly 22 years or something. And then came back to bass, and I've been doing bass for the last 5 years sort of thing. But since I've come back to bass, I've been obviously like relearning and like kind of transcribing stuff myself, and then looking at some stuff online to learn things and that, and then just seeing like little bits of what works for me and kind of trying to be disciplined with it. But I often think you need to just kind of get in a band and play with other musicians, because you can play as much as you want on your own. And you can probably get quite good, but there's things you're missing out on. Like just learning bits of riffs and stuff like that. You need to be jamming full songs and putting like a set together, I think. And that's what I'm missing at the moment, not playing in a band. I kind of feel like I need that. But what I'd ask you then, so let's say you only had 10 minutes to practice a day on your bass. What would you work on?
I suppose you split it up into like 5-minute things. So can you do your arpeggios and that kind of stuff? But I'm really into the rhythm thing at the moment, reading your 16th notes, and you'd give them like sheets with different permutations, first with 8 notes, then rests, and you build it up. So they work on that. You'd be amazed how much that improves your bass playing, like your all elements, like your dexterity, your accuracy, your rhythm. Like you start understanding a bar and where the different beats land in a bar. That's brilliant. And yeah, I would just get them to do their rhythm for 5 minutes. Then I'd get them to do I give them exercises based on arpeggios. I suppose it's very funny, like teaching the bass. I'm trying to build up like how I look at the bass. There's kind of philosophical kind of element to it. Like, what is a bass player? How do you become a good bass player? So I'm going to give a long-winded answer here, but I'm trying to, it's going pretty well. Like I have a student, and I got asked to join another original band in town, but like they're young, they're like 15, 16. It was only a fill-in gig.
Yeah.
But I said, I have a great student. Can he play? And he played, and he wrote some really class bass lines for the original band. So I'm pretty confident what I am doing is working. And so for him, it's do your rhythms, learn your arpeggios. Then we start doing the modes. Then we start doing talk about some chords on the bass. So I suppose all those little things you'll have for them. And then I'll give you 5 minutes of each or did you say you only had 10 minutes, was it?
Yeah, so I kind of just think like sometimes you think you've not got any time, but I always say everyone's got 10 minutes a day. And sometimes if you just pick up your bass for 10 minutes and make that a habit, you might end up playing it for an hour. But if you didn't pick it up because you thought you only had 10 minutes, you might not play till 3 days time. So I kind of have this thing, everyone should pick it up for at least 10 minutes. And if you did only have 10 minutes, what would you do? But I think often you'll play for longer anyway, but I'd just like to think, ask people that, because I kind of like for myself as well, what should I do with these 10 minutes? Should I play a song I like? Should I play something that I can't play and work on something that's complex, and then that to get better? Do you play something you already know because it makes you feel good and it's kind of enjoyable? Do you do a bit of theory? Do you do a bit of listening, a bit of transcribing? I know 10 minutes isn't a lot, so you could do different things on different days, but I just like that concept of don't just think 10 minutes isn't enough, because you can probably get warmed up and do some stuff in that time. So how would you think about maybe that concept, and what things would you maybe suggest to students?
Yeah, I adhere to that. Like all my students have a little book and they have all the stuff we've been doing, but then there's your weekly bass planner, and that it's a 15-minute practice, and then I'll see how they're doing with that, and I'll slot different things into it every week. But yeah, they know what they have to practice for 15 minutes. And then they have, all the songs that they like and other stuff, but they have their chunk of things to work on every week. So no, that's how I practice myself. I write down on my desk here what I'm working on. And then when I'm happy with my progress on that, could be a week, a day, 2 months, I'm fairly critical. So I'm like, no, I'm still terrible at that. Like I'm working a lot at ear training at the moment, because that's a big weakness of mine, because I was always in original bands. I never really worked on my ear. So I'm using some good apps and just working on that. And I have that 5 minutes a day. And I'm a terrible singer, but I'm working on the singing just for the ear training. And that's part of my daily practice, 5 minutes doing that. And I can see it, like you're doing the reps. It's like going to the gym. It builds up.
Yeah, definitely. No, that sounds great. So if you were to use, or when you use a pick on bass, which one do you use and why?
That's funny. I was only talking to that guy. Well, they were bass players, so it wasn't an argument. We wouldn't have an online argument. I used the green Tortex.
Oh yeah, that's quite thick, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of guitar players use it as well. Yeah, it's the 88.
Yeah. 88,
one,
yeah.
For rock stuff. And then I use like a red Tortex for something more groovy. So I suppose this one is for like real proper driving downstrokes, 8 notes. And then for doing a more groovy bass line, I'll use a softer one.
Yeah.
And I was talking to your man, Celebrity Pedals. Do you know that guy from the UK?
Oh, yeah,
makes those funny pedals. Well, not talking. He had up that the red one is the only one you can use. And I said, oh, you need this one if you're going to rock out. And he commented something like, you're wrong. But I said I'd give it a go, but it doesn't work for me. It just doesn't make sense, because I use 110 gauge strings on my bass,
right.
And I can't do downstrokes for 5 minutes with like a little floppy plectrum. It'll just explode.
Yeah.
So I still think the green one is good if you're going to rock, and the red one if you're playing something more mellow and funky.
Yeah, I think because when you play a bit faster, if you've got if the too bendy, I get a bit of like an aching pain in my fingers, because you're putting loads more effort in than you need to get the string to push through to push through the string. But I kind of use I like the max grip ones, the Dunlop 1.14 millimeters, and I try and use it for everything. It's quite thick, but because it's nylon, it's quite flexible. So although you'd think, it's over 1 millimeter, it's a really thick plectrum, it does actually flex quite well. So I find you can get both. But I spent years just buying every plectrum and trying every one, recording them all and seeing how they sounded like. And I just kept settling on that one. So yeah, that's what I use. You mentioned Celebrity pedals. I've got my Taylor Shift.
Oh yeah, it's
pedal
a
up
good
there.
pedal.
My
They say they're really nice.
Yeah, it sounds good. It's like an old school OC2. So I'm selling me made in Japan OC2 now. I've got this because it sounds just as good, really. But yeah, I just had to make the reference. I've seen some of his videos. He's pretty good on the bass, isn't he? I've seen.
He's a nice
quite
player.
lot of
Yeah,
it.
he teaches.
Yeah.
He puts up some good lessons as well. You'll have to get him on. I'd say he has a lot to say about teaching and all that kind of. He doesn't make the pedals. He is like a business partner that makes them.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'll definitely get him on here. Yeah, definitely. So one thing I'm really interested in you talking about is sort of the masters you did in bass. So I'd not really heard much about this sort of the courses available, and I'm quite keen to understand sort of where it was taught, how the lessons were structured, and what experiences you had doing that. Because I think that's quite a good insight for people who maybe are thinking about going down that route and doing that, and just sharing your sort of experience in the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I had a bachelor's degree in science, so when you have one degree, you can do a master's whenever you want. So I just Noel Barrett, who was like the head bass teacher in School of Music in Cork, was kind of watching my podcast, so I got to know him, and he was saying, "Sure, why don't you apply for the masters?" And I did, and I got in, and it was really cool. Yeah, great experience. So basically, I had a weekly lesson with Noel, and he was like pushing me, like he's an amazing bass player, and he was just doing the fundamentals and helped me with my soloing, because I'm terrible at doing bass solos. So just working on my weaknesses. And then I had to do, it was a performance-based master, so I had to do 3 performances, and then I had a load of modules and a load of assignments to do. It was definitely challenging, yeah, because I don't have the bass music degree, but most of the stuff was assignment-based. And then the performances, you had to kind of do something difficult maybe, or something outside of your norm to get a good mark. So for the first one, I did like a tribute to the 3-piece, which is what I'm used to, and I did good. Then the second one, I just did a Crow Black Chicken gig, and I got a bad mark. And I was like, shit, I kind of phoned that one in. So I'll have to do better now for the last one. So I did like a jazz fusion gig, or all original nearly written jazz fusion tunes, and I get good in that one. And it was probably a bit crap because I'm not a jazz fusion player, but I was pushing myself hard, and I practiced like crazy. I'd say I was practicing hour and a half, 2 hours a day on all these jazzy licks and the solos I was going to do. And I'd say if you asked me to play that set now tomorrow, I wouldn't be able to play it at all. But I put in the hours anyway. So I got loads from it. Like, it was great, and I hadn't been down living in Cork in a long time, so that's how I formed my new band. I got to know the guys and got into the scene. So yeah, I'd recommend doing a master's in bass. It's going to push you as a player, like, because the head bass lecturer is going to be an awesome player, and he's going to show you like where, I wouldn't say weaknesses in your playing, but where you can get better and where you can improve, and where you could take your bass playing. And of course, when you see people down in those schools of music, how amazing they are on their instruments, I don't really get intimidated myself, because I'm more into like groovy bass players and unique bass players than people who can do loads of chops and stuff. But it is amazing to see what these kids can do. Like,
yeah. So was it like a full-time 12-month course type thing?
it was like a full-time course over 2 years. So like it was spread over 2 years. So if you did it in a year, it would have been full-time.
Okay, yeah, I see. So did you do it over a year or two?
2 years, yeah. So
2
I went
years.
down to Cork once a week. So I lived like an hour away. And yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I'd recommend it to anyone. It was really pushed me forward, because I was like, I need to start practicing. Like, there's some really good players here. And I have to do these recitals where I have to you're showing off the bass. Like, you're not really standing in the back. You can do that if the music is a bit fancy. So yeah, it definitely pushed me as a player.
Yeah, that sounds great. So you've done quite a bit of touring with Crow Black Chicken. What would you say the hardest thing is about touring for you?
It's just tiring, isn't it? Like, I don't know. You've said you did a bit of it. The food is terrible as well a lot of the time. Like, we were in Germany there one time, and he was like, "Your dinner, guys, what would you like for dinner? Would you like pizza?" And I was like, "No, not really." And he's like, "Do you not have pizza in Ireland?" It's like, "No." I was like, "We do have pizza, but it's not a dinner for 3 grown men. I want like some actual spuds, potatoes and vegetables and some proper food, or pasta, Italian. No, I don't want like a pizza between 3 grown men." So the food situation can be difficult.
Yeah. And have you done it mainly sort of like in a van sort of thing? Is it like transit van style and then staying in sort of hotel type things?
Yeah, it's 100% DIY. Like, we don't have a crew. We are the crew. We sell the merch. We set up. We do everything. Just have to do it on a shoestring, or else sure you wouldn't make it. And then it's just like you're just going for the crack. So Like we used to tour Spain, but just wasn't financially viable anymore. We're going to Romania in July, which will be cool. We're not driving there, we're flying. Then we're back in the UK, and we're going to the Czech Republic 2028, which is mad that people are booking gigs that far ahead. That's like 2 weeks all around the Czech Republic. So we're busy.
Cool.
We're not as busy as we used to be, but hopefully with a new album, things will pick up. But I like to live in the moment. I don't care. You can't just be saying, oh, it's not going anywhere. I feel like you just keep moving forward and doing the work, and the gigs come in, and they always do. And, you have to release music or people forget about you.
Yeah, definitely. It's just one step at a time. One thing I wanted to ask about, so, we'll go on to the sort of signal chain and all that sort of stuff in a bit, but so the new album, how did you record the bass? I'm just interested in how you tracked it and what you did to sort of record it. Was it direct in? Was it DI? Did you split the amp and stuff? Did you play it all live? Was it a band jam situation, or was it individually tracked and all that sort of stuff? So do you want to talk a little bit about that, like the new album?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we did it quick, like in a few days, and we had a brilliant producer, Philip McGee. He works with a lot of big acts, pop bands now mainly, because that's who you end up working with when you're a big name. He works with Codaline and bands like that. And we just did it a DI, always DI. I never really used an amp recording the bass. I do it if I was at home, just experimenting. But when you're in the studio, you don't have time to mess around and do stuff like that. So a lot of it, we recorded the songs live, and then you'd keep a good bit of the bass take, and then you might say, oh, I fluffed that bit. Or like on one song, I'm doing a big fill in the song a lot. So that's the first single. So I re-recorded that, and I just kind of got into the zone where I wasn't thinking about it. So it was cool when I listened back to the finished album, and I was like, I can't believe I played those fills, like, because you have that kind of muscle memory, don't you? You do the same fills and the same things all the time. So it was nice. Obviously, after when I was in the studio, I kind of got out of my own head, and I managed to play some really cool fills that I must relearn because I have no idea what they are. And then with the other band, I'm actually recording a lot of the bass myself at home in my shed, which is a nice experience because I get to spend more time with it, like, and really experiment. And I try all my basses out, and I plug in all my pedals, and I might even record an amp, and I'll get to experiment. But when you're in a proper studio, you don't have the luxury to do that. And both are good too, because when you're in the studio and you don't have time to overthink things, you just do it like that. I did a really cool fill. But then with the other band, I recorded really nice bass tones. I got some class fretless sounds. And I recorded for the first single, I did this weird synth sound. And I don't know if people think it's rubbish or it's cool, because I showed it to a few people and they said, interesting bass sound on that song. It kind of sounds like a bee trapped in a jar or something. But I don't care. Like, at this stage, I'm just messing around and experimenting. I don't. The days of dropping a single and it going viral for rock bands, for 99% of them, doesn't happen. So just do what you like and what you enjoy. So I liked the sound of the bass for that song, so I did it. And sure, you'll hear it when it comes out yourself. You might think it sounds like a bee in a jar, but I like it.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I mean, so what I was thinking is, like, what do you find easier, playing live and tracking as a band, or sitting and doing your own bass on your own and kind of just going take after take, because like you say, sometimes when you're on your own with it, you might overthink stuff and you end up doing 17 takes in the first one or two were good, but you just couldn't see it, and then you end up playing worse than you could have. Or do you think it's easier when you're just in a band and you're not having to, you're just playing with the band, feeling it? And is that easier to get a take out, would you say, like that? Or what do you prefer?
I'd say it's 50-50. Like, I think when you do it in the room, you and the drummer are more locked in and it's more organic. But when I do it at home, I think I write better bass lines because I'll play it for 7 hours and I'll be like, oh, really overanalyze it. Like I was saying, I was in the studio 2 weeks ago up the road, and I was saying, I got to do something on the bass. And the engineer was like, what? I was like, it's actually a really boring bass thing. Just press play. It was like it's just a tiny bit of muting or something that I wanted to do. But yeah, I think maybe just doing it in the room with the drummer is probably the best for everyone, because you get the feel and everything. But when I do it at home in my shed, I definitely write better bass lines because I'm listening to really closely. I'm like, oh, I don't want to step on the singer's toes for this bit. Oh, this is during the solo, or oh, there's a space here, the bass can peek out. you can really analyze it. So that's a tough one. I'm not sure, like maybe just to do it in the room is better to serve the whole song, I think, at the end of the day. But I definitely am enjoying getting the time to record at home also.
Yeah, that sounds good. So how does it feel having an album pressed on vinyl?
This is our third one that we pressed on vinyl.
Oh, have you? I didn't know you'd done that before.
I can
Okay,
open this on the stream, actually. It's still in the plastic, so here we go. It's okay, I can get another one anyway. This is our third one we've printed. We did the first. This is our. Is it third? Jeez, I'm losing track now. Yeah, we've done all our studio albums on vinyl. So
you sell these at your gigs then?
Yeah, we'll be selling that. It's not out yet, like, so we'll be selling at the gigs. So
that's awesome.
There's the front and there's the back, and then it has some really cool art on the inside. This is my first time seeing this, so it's kind of psychedelic.
Oh, nice.
And then we splashed out because our fans actually gave us €13,000 to make this album. We did a fund.
I've seen that on the crowdfunding. Indiegogo, was it?
Yeah, it was only 10 that we set it for, and we were like, God, are we going to make this 10? Because like you don't get the money if you don't get the thing, and we got the money in like 2 days or something. Which was unbelievable. And we went for this splash vinyl, the red
That's
splash.
Amazing.
Yeah, it looks unbelievable, doesn't it? So
that looks really good.
It is exciting. We have a distribution. We have our own record label, but we have a distribution deal with Cargo Records in Germany. So that makes pressing it a lot cheaper. That definitely helps.
What sort of numbers are you pressing then to get them sort of done?
I think we did 500 for this. So yeah. I don't know what the minimum is. I think the minimum usually would be around 250, but you really get a better unit price if you go up to 500. We'll sell them out quick anyway, like, because it's been a long time and the fans are mad for it. So I'm excited. The thing about vinyl is you can only fit 40 minutes roughly on one record. So you're better off doing a short album and put it on one, because the cost of printing 2 records in a sleeve is going to be crazy. Yeah. And these days you're better off just doing 40 minutes and just do another 40-minute album when you have enough songs.
Yeah, I mean, because the albums I've done in the past, like they're on Spotify and stuff now. I suppose everything is, but the CDs that we got printed way back when that we used to sell at gigs, they're kind of like useless now because I don't have a CD player. So like, not to have it on vinyl, because vinyl's like a cool thing to have, and I think it'll always be around. Not sure CDs are going to come back, so I'm always a bit envious when I see people's vinyls, and I'm like, I never got on one.
There is a company in England, it's like a couple that do limited run vinyls, and they won't they won't do more than 100, I think. Because their husband cuts the disc and then he has to sit and listen to the album. I think he has to listen to nearly all of them. So like he'd be sick of it if he was listening to 500 times. But I'd say the unit price is probably high enough, but it's still, you could do it. Like,
oh, that's a good idea. I might have to check that out. Yeah. So okay, we'll move on to the next section. So this is a bit of a just it's bass stuff, but it's non-bass stuff as well. So just to find out a bit more about you. So it's 10 of my favorite things, and they don't have to be your absolute favorites, but like something that's like something you might like of this thing. So I'll do the 10 questions. First one's favorite travel destination.
That's easy. Is it cheating a bit? But I just love going on those Caminos, those walking holidays. So I've done it 3 times, like not the full Camino, 2 weeks at a time, because it's hard to just leave Ireland for a month. You're like, bye everyone, I'll be back in a month. Forget about playing gigs or answering emails. And yeah, I love doing that. It's class. You're just walking for 8 hours a day across Spain, meeting people, and you just get into this zone when you're walking. It's like being high. You're just in your and the talk that you get so much thinking in. Like, no one really listens to music on the walks. You rarely see anyone doing that. I saw some annoying kids with a boombox, but I got away from them as quick as I could. But, I just love doing that, and it's not for most people. Wouldn't be their idea of a holiday, going stinking for 2 weeks, walking through Spain, blisters on your feet. I love it though. You have a beer during the day after a 6-hour walk. You meet some other pilgrims, have a chat, have a coffee first thing in the morning. All the things. Just I couldn't get enough of it. So I'm definitely going to go back for my 40th next year. I want to do one because I did the whole Portuguese one. I did the French way and I did the Northern way. So they're just different routes. There's loads of different routes. So I don't know if people listening know how it works. Basically, you just go with a backpack. Generally, you want 10% of your body weight. You don't want more than that on your back because it'd be ridiculous. And you walk every day, and there's little hostels. They're called albergs. You can't book ahead. You kind of can now, but that before COVID, you couldn't. And you just rock on. It's like a fiver. you get like a basic place to sleep and make some food, and you just do that every day, and you just walk across Spain. And there's like 1 million people do it every year. Like there's like so many people just walking along. It's awesome.
That's amazing. So do you go on your own, or do you go with like a group of people?
I just go on my own. Yeah, I went once with a friend, but the 2 times before that I went on my own. It's more of a going on your own thing, because I find people are less reluctant to talk to you if you're with someone, because like, oh, they're doing their own thing, and most people are on their own. Like really.
Right, that sounds really good. What about favorite bass strings?
That's just my Rotosound swing bass. They're awesome. I never played a bass that is as good for rock music. Bass strings, like, so I have the 110s generally, and then when I'm doing the cover gigs, I just use like the next thing down from that. I don't really ever use like standard gauge because it's too light for me. But for rock gigs, the 110 gauge is crazy. Like it gives such a thump. One of my students asked for one of my old sets of strings, and he was loving it. Like, he's in a metal band. He's like, these strings are awesome.
Yeah, definitely good if you drop into like D or something, like down tuning a bit, you still get a bit of tightness on the string.
Yeah, see, I'm in standard, but I do it anyway. It's grand.
Yeah, no, that's cool. What about favorite bass line?
Like I just change what I'm into all the time. So I suppose in the last few years, I love, the less I know, the better. I think that's really cool. That's really creative. Thundercats, them changes though, I'd probably take that one to my deathbed, because I did that for my masters and I was doing a solo over it. So I was, I'm not great on a bass solo, so I must have listened to that song for hundreds of hours on repeat. There's like a loop of, the main riff on YouTube going around for like 3 hours, and I would just sit there practicing this bloody solo for my recitals. And I'm still not sick of it. I still enjoy playing it. So definitely that riff.
Yeah, that's cool. What about favorite food?
I like spicy food, so I'd say like a madras in an Indian. In Ireland, the Indians are they're a little bit more expensive than your regular Chinese. I find in England, the quality can be really hit and miss. Like we were in, there's this brilliant venue in Blackpool, or what's it called? It's like this rock venue, but it's probably the best one in England. But across the road from it was this Indian, and oh my God, it was like they just got a bunch of chickpeas and put it in the dishwasher and gave it to us. Like, it was horrific.
Really?
So yeah, you have to be careful in the UK. In Ireland, you're always going to get good quality, but I love that. Just a nice spicy madras. Can't beat it.
Yeah, cool. What about a favorite bass player?
That's always changing. Like, I was Cliff Burton, then it was Les Claypool, then it was Flea, then it was Jacko. At the moment, I'm just more into like bass educators. So like Ian Martin Allison, he taught me a lot about bass effects, and that's why I bought a HX Stomp pretty much. And then as a bass teacher, Jim Stinnett, he's passed away since, on YouTube. I love his style. It was like, I always thought like to have a good bass channel, you have to do all the editing and make it look amazing and all that stuff and have tabs. And then he was just like, he just sit there for like 10, 15 minutes and just give a lesson. And he just go, play along with me. And I was inspired by him a lot to get into the bass teaching, because I learned so much from him and his style. And then he passed away suddenly. I was like, God, that guy is such a legend. I'd love to be able to inspire people the way he does. Actually, his student is Charles Berthoud, the biggest bass player at the moment.
Yeah, I followed his channel for a bit as well. And what I loved about it was like, there wasn't this like sort of 10-minute introduction talking about all the stuff you're going to learn and this, that and the other. You'd literally have your bass on your knee, and then within like probably 50 seconds, you were playing something with him. Do you know what I mean? You're straight into the lesson, and it's like, it's more playing, less talk. I love that approach, and he was like that, because he did a lot on Jameson licks and stuff like that, and I learned a few things from him. And I still go back to that channel, because they're all still up there, all the videos, and definitely big influences. Good one to have on your sort of subscription list, like to go back and learn.
Yeah, so in terms of, that's it. Like I just move around all the time, and as you grow older, you have different influences. But I'm trying to think of, I suppose your man Parker from Tame Impala is a class bass player at the moment. I really like what he does. But I don't have a favorite bass player. I used to do a lot of slap when I was a teenager. I was in a funk metal band with a really ridiculous name that I won't even say. But we did a lot of original funk metal, and I was slapping the hell out of it. I loved it.
Yeah, that's cool. What about a favorite bass effect?
I'm going to cheat and say a double effect. I'm going to put chorus and distortion together. I love
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
that. If you ever listen to me playing live or any records, I always
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of pair them together. I just think they just sound so good. The distortion before the chorus,
Yeah.
and it just gives this crazy, powerful sound. It just sounds so cool. It's not quite synthy, but it just makes the distortion a bit warmer and more kind of just impactful.
Yeah, yeah. I think the distortion helps you kind of like gel a bit with the guitars and be heard a bit more and cut through. And that chorus kind of gives a bit of width and just you occupy a bit more space. And I suppose for you being in like a trio, you want to kind of have the bass take up probably more sonic space than you would with a typical band that's got loads of guitars, keys, and all the rest of it going on. So did you find that you try and have quite a big bass sound for that reason?
Yeah, I find it very weird playing in a band with two bass players. I played a dep gig last night. I filled in with a band playing the bass, a cover band, and they had two guitars. I find it strange. Like I have to change the way I play the bass because you can play a lot busier when you only have one guitar player because you're filling the sonic space. And I play a lot of chords and I do a lot of kind of counterpoint to what he's doing. But then when you have the extra person, you can't really because there's two people doing different things and they're not going to pick up on what you're doing. So I love playing in a 3-piece and being able to fill the extra sound and play a little bit busier. Sure, who doesn't like playing a bit busier and just to fill the space?
Yeah, definitely. What about a favourite album?
Favorite album? That's a tough one now. I suppose. I suppose I was actually I went back to a kind of a after thing last night, which is something I never do, and they were listening to a bit of Joni Mitchell, but they weren't aware of like the jazz period. I'm going to say Mingus. I love that Joni Mitchell album, and any of the stuff she did with Jacko is really cool. But they're all folk heads. I was like, do you know this jazz stuff she's done? We were putting it on. They're like, what?
Yeah, it's a good album. That. What about a favourite film?
I love. And this is another chat I was having, not at this last night, but with another bandmate. I was saying about Interstellar. I'd say that's probably my favorite film. I like the way they managed to fit, like, it's like a trilogy in one film because it starts on Earth, then he goes to space, and I don't want to spoil the film. A lot of stuff happens, but it seems to be in 3 parts. They could have done a trilogy, but he managed to fit it into a normal running length of a film. And obviously, like, I'm into science and stuff, and it's all. Everything in it is possible, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, apart from the black hole, which they had to make more visible because it's a film. Yeah, I love that. I just think that's a great movie. It's brilliant.
Awesome. I think I know what you're going to say for this one. Favorite pickup configuration?
Yeah, just the P bass is grand. I'm going to build. I like building basses. I don't know. I didn't tell you about that. I often build basses and do more project stuff. So I'm going to build my own custom bass just for the fun, and I'm going to do that switched P bass, where like you kind of, it's easier if I pick one up so you can look at it, because I never even thought of this myself. So instead of the top one being closer, so if you think about it logically, obviously Leo Fender is a genius, but this is something different. If you put the one on the low strings further back and then put the other one forward, you get a kind of a different sound, obviously. So I wouldn't mind trying that, like switching where they are. Just I know Janik Wilzala has that on some of his basses. Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see, like, does it sound similar? Does it give a different punch? Do the high strings, are they a bit higher? Like, what difference does it make?
Yeah, I've not had that on a bass, but I think you get a bit more warmth out of the lower strings or the higher strings. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you've got a bit closer to the neck, the pickup. So rather than them being a bit sort of like high, I don't know if it's high frequency, but just rather than being quite thin, they sound a bit round and more warm sort of thing. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing to try out.
Yeah, I guess Leo Fender was just thinking the bass strings need to be more bassy, so give them more length of it. So, but yeah, it'd be interesting to try that out.
Yeah, definitely. And what about a favourite bass brand or one of them?
There's few around here, so obviously boring. Bass guitar brands are kind of a bit boring, aren't they? Like, it's just Fender all the way. But that Epiphone is really nice, the Alan Woody one that I own. You'd pop a picture of that up on the screen. That's an awesome bass, and the Sire is excellent. So I suppose they're the brands I'll play any brand, but it's I'd say Squire, like, is an amazing brand. That Squire P bass I have is better than. I wouldn't swap it for any, like, actually a guy tried to buy it off me. He's like, mad, because I gave him a lend of it, and he wanted to buy it. I was like, just buy your own bass. He's like, but this one is awesome.
That's cool. All right, so I reckon we move on to the sort of bass signal chains and pedals section.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like my sort of geekery in like what people are using on the boards and what do they record through and what's their amp and cab live and stuff. So the first section is just talking through your current live rig. So talking through your signal chain on your pedal board, and then what amp and cab are using live. So you've sent me a picture of 2 pedal boards. I think the first one's the Crow Black Chicken one, so I'll share a picture of it, and then just let us know when you can see that, and maybe just talk through that pedal board, and then what does that go into in terms of your live sort of amp and cab if you're using one. I think I'm sharing the wrong window. Hold on. Still new to all this technology.
That's okay. I can kind of think of it while you're putting it up anyway. Yeah, well, it's just going straight into my TC Electronic head. I don't care too much about amps because, you know, a lot of your sound is coming through the PA. Like when you're doing big gigs, your amp is more like a monitor really. But when you put it up there now, I'll go through it. The Crow Black Chicken one hasn't changed in years. Like I don't add new pedals to it. So what I like about that pedal board is I'm still trying to find new sounds with what I have, you know. It's a bit messy. So we got the Big Muff. I've played loads of distortion pedals and I still haven't found one as good as the Big Muff because it has that bass boost which retains, like there's other ones that sound more gnarly and you could get a cool sound recording with them, but for a functional pedal to use live, I still haven't heard one as good as the bass Big Muff.
Yeah, I agree. I've got the same one.
It's awesome. Then the bass chorus, I've got more expensive choruses as well. And again, I find that one, it just cuts through a little better. It has the low pass filter as well, which is cool. And I use that when I stack them together for some real vicious stuff, but I also use it for like mellow songs, just chorus. When I'm doing harmonics and stuff like that, or I might put it up really high for some tunes that are more psychedelic and get that going on. Then I'll come back to the synth whack because that's a crazy pedal. Then we've got this pedal board is filthy. I should have cleaned this before I sent you the picture. I should have
got a proper gigged pedal board.
Yeah.
Like, I've got my like really hoovered, nice sort of YouTuber, never leaves the bedroom board, and then this is a proper working musician's board.
You can nearly see the wax in my earplugs there. It's that bad. But then we have the Subbing Up, which is a nice octaver. Actually, not as good an octaver as the EBS one, but EBS one doesn't have the up function. Yeah, and I use the up function for, again, I stack the distortion chorus and the up on some songs on the new album to give more of a psychedelic, crazy sound. Then we have the Sans amp, which is, you know, amazing. Just gives that crunchy, sound engineers love you. When they see that, they're like, oh, this guy's okay. This is going to sound good. It just makes everything sound brilliant. I don't know if you have one of them. It's a must-have pedal, I think.
Yeah, I used to have that one where you can kind of save your 3 presets. Do you sort of does the front of house get the DI from your Sans amp?
A lot of the time, yeah. When they see it, they want to use it. You know, I have the fake one that Behringer make, and it sounds rubbish. It's just not even close. Like,
what about? So, do you take to your amp then from the Sans amp? Do you take the dry out, or do you take the sort of affected out? You know,
just a normal output. I don't do a dual thing. Yeah. I haven't got into that yet. Like,
but is it using your settings on the Sans amp, or is it bypassing them?
No, using the settings on. Yeah, I have the drive. Like, there, it saves them. So whatever the knobs are at there now mightn't be what I actually am using.
Yeah,
but, There's a lot of drive on it though. Like but it gives a great sound. It really does. Real presence to it. And then the little black pedal is a chorus pedal. I didn't know what that was for years. I just bought it secondhand on a marketplace. But the guy who makes them actually messaged me. Moose Pedals in Dublin. He makes a lot of Fontaine's DCs. Know that band?
Yeah.
He makes a lot of their pedals. And I had him on a live chat before on Instagram. He's a really nice guy. And he said, that's one of mine. That was a prototype. I'm like, cool. Okay, so it's a Moose pedal. I finally know what that is. So I'll just use that again on more kind of mellow stuff if I'm using the fretless. And then the bass wah, I just love that. I use that on so much stuff. And I don't use it like in a Kirk Hammett kind of way, like, or a Jimi Hendrix kind of up and down. I use that like that sometimes, like Tim Comerford from Rage does. But a lot of the time I'm using it kind of more as an expression pedal. So I'll like push it to the half cocked position and I'll play like a lick. Or I'll do like if you listen to that song Prayer Brothers at the end, I have it in the half cocked position and I'm playing like a low note, a drone and a high note, and it's giving this weird sound. I just experiment with it a lot, and I really like that pedal. On one song I use it I do kind of a didgeridoo sound. I do loads of stuff with it. It's great crack.
No way. So with Crow Black Chicken then, what do you usually play sort of amp cab wise on stage, or do you just go straight into the PA?
It's some kind of TC Electronic. I can't remember what it is because I've blown up loads of amps over the years. So I just got that one because it was reliable. I used to be Trace Elliott, and I this is not exaggeration. I blew up 4 Trace Elliott amps, and then I was like, these are not going to work out. These are not hard. These are the old ones from the 80s.
Yeah,
I actually have the new. In the cover band, I play with the Trace Elliott Elf and a TC Electronic 250 head. Some hop off it. It's unbelievable. It's 7 kilos in weight. It's like a tiny little cab. It's like a little cube with a handle on it. Amazing. So like the Trace stuff they're making now is very good, but the stuff from the 80s, it sounded good, but it wasn't reliable.
Yeah. Have you got the Trace Elliott cab for that Elf, or is it?
I use a little small TC 250 little head into it, and it sounds great. Never gives any trouble.
Yeah, that's cool. So that's your first one then. So I'll get the other picture up. So is the other one for Sun Merchant then? Have you got
that's Sun Merchant, yeah.
Another
and the pitch black tuner, great display, crap tuner, really bad build quality. I fixed that so many times. The mechanism on the foot switch is really crap and finicky if you're a gigging musician.
Oh yeah, because you've not got your stomp on that board, so you have to have like an extra tuner, don't you? Yeah, because this is the one where you stomp then. I noticed you've got one of these Pedalnetic switches. They're really cool.
Yeah, I got him to put my initials on it. How cool is that?
Yeah, love it. So is that an actual blue stomp? Is it like a limited edition one or something?
Yeah, limited edition off Toman. It wasn't any more price. I just was like, whatever, sure. Why not? Like, put it in the basket if it's blue.
Yeah. No, it looks cool. I was never sure if they were like sort of like a sleeve, like a phone cover type thing that you could get to mod
sparkly and everything. Has like little bits of crystal or something in it. It's pretty cool actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's going on with this pedal board then? What do you go into first?
Yeah, so that's into the Zoom B3, which is an awesome, like the best pedal ever if you're a beginner. It has a tuner, has a looper, he has loads of good effects, has a drum machine. You can pick them up cheap like on eBay. If you're a beginner, don't buy any stomps, just buy that one. It's awesome. But I use that. I like a lot of the effects on that actually. It's really good, the quality. And the synth sound I was talking about earlier, the kind of buzzing bee thing, I can only do with that pedal board. With that, there's an effect on it, a synth effect. I should have taken a picture of it, and I use that for those sounds. And then on the HX, I do some crazy sounds, like obviously inspired a lot by E. Martin Allison, and I use it as my tuner as well. So I'm more kind of trying to create sounds with this pedal board for this new band, and trying to come up with new sonic spaces. And for one song, I'm doing like an organ sound, and I'm doing like huge swells, and I'm really into that band, The Smile. Have you heard of them? Like the Radiohead
side project. Yeah, I've not listened to that much of the stuff. I think I listened to like one album, but I need to get on it.
Yeah, I went to see them live as well. Brilliant. Now, Tom York doesn't really use effects, but I'm inspired what they're doing. So yeah, this pedal board, it's 2 multi-effects pedals because it's about kind of building sounds. So every song I'm using weird sounds, which is really fun. As in the other pedal board, you just have stomps, and I'm seeing what I can get out of those stomps. This one, it's just about creating soundscapes and something completely different. So I think it's nice to have a different board for a different band to try to put you in a different headspace. And I also play double bass in this band. Like I'm not like a great double bass player. I can hold down like a groove. So I had to get this switcher from Joyo. That was the most cost-effective solution. So it just lets you switch between the guitar and the double bass without having to plug anything out. And that's handy. So, but one thing, in case anyone is trying to do that, for some reason you kind of have to plug a jack into both returns to make it work, and the output to make it work. So that took a bit of figuring out, but that's what's going on there. But yeah, very versatile there. The HX Stomp is an amazing piece of kit. I've only like scratched the surface of what you can do with that. I'd love to spend more time with it and get into it. I haven't used it now in a while because I've been busy starting a family, but I'm kind of more time now at the moment.
Yeah, it's a bit of a learning curve with the Stomp. So I did a video on the Stomp a few months ago, and just talking about like what it's like for bass and stuff like that. And I was talking about like it's, it will take you some time to get used to it and stuff like that. But when you do, there's so much you can do with it. Like I've literally sold probably like 10 or so pedals because I don't feel like I need them anymore, because the like the chorus sounds on it and a lot of the modulation stuff, I just think I don't think I'll ever need to buy a stomp box chorus because I like what's on here, and I've made quite a lot of presets myself. I give away I've got like 23 presets that I've made, and I just I've got a Dropbox link that I give away in the sort of video on my channel, and some people have come back and said they're finding them useful as well. I just kind of aim for like sounds that kind of make me inspired to like play like a riff or whatever, or kind of mess around, and then I don't really know what I'm doing. I know roughly what order they need to go in, and I know a bit about the routing and stuff, but I just keep messing around until I find something that I kind of end up just writing apart, because sometimes the sound just makes you write apart. If you get like some really wide chorus sound or something, then you just start messing around, you just come up with some melody that you wouldn't have come up with if you were just playing bass clean on its own, sort of thing. So like, have you made many of your own sort of presets for it then for this band?
Yeah, it's all my own, mainly my own. Some of the actual stock ones were pretty cool, and I bought some Dean Martin Allison's. I don't use them, but they kind of taught me how to do it myself. I got into his and messed around with it. So I made lots of presets. I must put some up. Yeah, it's really good. I will never buy another stomp myself. I said that to someone a few weeks ago. I said I love the set, even the distortion. I never thought I'd hear a distortion as good as the Big Muff, but the T-Maw, I think that's the one I use all the time.
Oh yeah,
it's killer. Like, it sounds vicious. Like, even when I was recording 2 weeks ago, I used the T-Maw sound and I didn't even use my Big Muff. So I have a good few sounds. I must put some up. A lot of people were selling them for a while, but I think the bubble might have popped in that, because ChatGPT is kind of, people are using that to make sounds that like make me sound like Chris from Muse, and it tells you what to put in.
Yeah. I think the key with some of the distortions is just to parallel path blend some of your clean signal in, because if you just push all your signal through like the distortion block, sometimes you just kind of lose too much. But if you get the blend right, they can actually sound quite good. Like, I find the drives not to be the best thing on there, because I do still like a drive pedal on its own, but it's not like you couldn't get away with using it for like a gig and sounds and recording, because it is all there. I just think it takes quite a bit of time to dial in a real like good sounding drive, but you can do it. Sometimes when you just click the drive blocks, like the preset settings it comes on aren't great, but then you mess around for 10 minutes and then you're like, that's amazing, that sound I've just got. So it's definitely something you need to persevere with, but there's just so much you can do with it. And obviously you can use it as like a little practice amp. You put headphones in on it and stuff like that. You can take a line out, record with it. It's an interface, isn't it? So I can't recommend them highly enough to people, because I just think the amount of stuff I've been able to do with mine in the few years I've had it. And I always say to people, just get one second hand if you can, because there's always someone selling them. Like, guitar players are selling pedals all the time. They'll be getting rid of it for $350 or whatever. And then if you don't like it, just sell it on for what you paid for it. If you're not going to damage it in a few weeks of trying it out, and just experiment, sort of thing. But it's a cool bit of kit, and definitely getting that extra 2 switches makes all the difference, because you've got 3 full stomp switches you can access, and then leave them other ones for like your tuner and to change modes. I found it quite annoying to use until I had them extra 2 switches. Did you find that?
Yeah, well, I always had the switcher. I had a cheaper one off Amazon, but then I got that fancy one, which is just for the crack. It's cool, like. But I think one thing I actually like about it, which is a weird thing to say, I like the way it's limited with the DSP, like how much memory it has. So that is actually that is a good thing. Instead of, you can buy the XL one, which lets you put in as many pedals as you want. But when you're limited to how much memory the device has, that kind of makes it a bit more like a real pedal board for me. Like, because you have to think, okay, I can't have all these effects. How do I get the sound? And that actually is good for your creativity, like the limitations.
Yeah, I think that as well. Yeah. And sometimes people say that they don't like the fact that it's quite hard to change settings and things on the fly. But like what I was saying before, you shouldn't really be changing settings like that at a gig. You want to just set your effects at home and then just live with it. And if you need to tweak something, do it at home, but don't do it at the gig. You don't really go into menus and being like, oh, just need to pull this down 1 dB. No one cares.
No,
It's
no
like,
one cares.
Just concentrate on playing your parts. And then, but I like the fact that it's like you get your sounds, and then like when I'm playing on mine, it's on my pedal board. So it's like, I've not just got, you know, my drive pedal and my compressor and whatever. I've got about 30 different sounds that a click of a button takes me to a full 80s chorus thing. Click this, full blown distortion for something heavy. Click this, and it's like a, you know, flanger or whatever. It's so, when you've got all your presets set and you set all your levels right so they're not like up and down, it's like, it's almost better than a pedal board, because you're not having to worry about all the cables connecting them all together and then the volume getting bumped on one and then they're not quite right. You know, if you sit and get all your levels right, I just get the level output into the door and then just take every preset and roughly get it to the same level so that you're not getting this massive jump in volume between your presets. And that took me a while to learn how to get them all level matched, because if you put loads of blocks on, you're kind of increasing the gain each time and then your output ends up being quite high, so you have to compensate with that. But if you even them all out, it just ends up being like so much better when you're just jamming, and say you're coming up with parts, or you know, you're jamming with someone, quickly go to a sound and you're like, oh, that works for this, you know, and you're not messing around with individual pedals. But yeah, it's quality.
The scenes are good. Did you ever use that feature where it's like,
not done that yet? No.
It's very good if you get into it. Like, so it's basically, it's like, you know, those fancy pedal boards guitarists have where they press the stomp and it turns on a bunch of different pedals. So you can have it set, like, for me anyway, it's like I always use distortion and flat and chorus together. So that's one scene. Instead of pressing the 2 pedals, I just have to press that. And then I turn that off and I have another scene with a crazy synth that has 3 pedals. So instead of having to do the pedal stomping, boom, 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 you can just set the scenes for your 3 different sounds for your song, which is cool.
That's well good. Yeah, I think I'd get into that sort of stuff if we was doing the sort of cover band tribute stuff, because you'd have certain sounds for certain sections of songs and you'd be kind of doing that. A lot of the time I'm just jamming like in my room or recording stuff on its own, so I don't have that need. But I reckon it's a great feature to be able to just change all these settings and stuff at the click of a button. It's amazing.
No, it is a great pedal. Really recommend it. We were playing in France 2 years ago. We did the Beauvais Blues Festival for a week, and we were just in a hostel on the motorway, nothing to do. And I never do this, but I just got my bass and I brought my HX into the room and I actually created a bunch of sounds. So I wouldn't do that with a normal pedal board. Like it does kind of inspire you to play. It's really handy like that.
Yeah, and I think if you were just like, say, just going on holiday or something, you just putting your bass in the car, like just to have that headphone amp, but then all them sounds and all the stuff you can do on it, it's just convenient. You know, if you could only take 1 pedal with you, it's quite handy to have, you know, because of all the stuff you can do on it.
I'd say you'd get divorced if you brought your bass guitar on holiday.
I know, yeah. I used to do that, but now that I've got a kid, I don't get away with bringing the bass. There's too many like other things that go in the car.
Yeah, too many toys to be going. His tractors are more important than your bass guitar.
That's it, yeah. So you talked a little bit about content creation and how you kind of stopped for a bit and stuff. Like I've got a bit of a section that's about content creation. I think everyone I've had on so far does content creation in some form, and I think it's just the way things have gone. A lot of people do. I know you're more active on Instagram than YouTube.
Yeah.
But what's your sort of approach to sort of content creation, and how has that changed over time?
Yeah, well, like when I started, I was just tipping away that I wasn't going crazy, and then obviously in 2020 I had lots of time. And it almost became like my job. I would spend a week. I did 1 podcast a week for like 4 months there at one stage, which you know yourself, it's a lot of editing and stuff. So yeah. I was just making it my job almost. The whole week was going into making these videos. I could spend a week on like just a 60-second video, learning it and editing it, doing it all, which is great when I had the time. And then I got this crazy idea, maybe I could make a living doing this, and I'll just make this content and put it up and make a bit of money out of it. So I decided, I was going to keep doing it when I went back gigging and teaching, and it just broke me. I said I was going to do 30 videos in a month, and I had like loads of people like Johnny Dibble and all these dudes help me out, set me on clips. And I never get depressed or anything like that, but I was just like, this broke me. I was like, oh man, what am I doing with my life? I hate this so much. And that was it. I just said, I'm done with this. And I didn't post on anything for 2 years after that, not on Instagram or anywhere. I might have one or two clips, but very little, and no YouTube. And then just recently, I just kind of decided, oh yeah, I used to do this posting thing, and that had kind of blown over. That I would have been pissed off with it, and I just started doing it for myself, and I was enjoying it, and with it, the new band as well kind of inspired me to write some riffs, and I was putting up the riffs, and the other guy in the band was liking them, and we wrote songs from them. I was like, oh yeah, this is actually good. It's creative, and so now I don't take it as seriously, and I put limits on myself. Like I wouldn't spend more than an hour making something. I just do it and put it out there. I was becoming a real perfectionist. Like I was trying to get the perfect video quality, and there couldn't be any mistakes, or if there was a misspelling. Now I just put it out there. I don't care if people want to comment that I spelled something wrong or that something's out of sync, whatever. Don't care. And I'm enjoying it again. And I joined TikTok there yesterday just because I wanted to have, they have the nice captions, and I couldn't get that for free with another app. Yeah. And that was a good laugh post on that. So yeah, I'm just enjoying it again. And I suppose that's what I advise people to do. Like, just put stuff up for your own enjoyment first and foremost. And I was kind of chasing trends a bit. I was like trying to do gear reviews, which I have no interest in. And I was putting up play alongs with tabs, which I have no interest in. And that probably attributed to, or started me getting annoyed with it. So now I just put up what I'd like to watch and what I want to make. And I'm enjoying it again. And I'm posting like 3 or 4 times a week, no problem. And it's no pressure. And if I stop enjoying it again, I'll stop posting. I don't care too much about it.
It's good to see you back on, because I noticed you hadn't been on for a while, and I didn't know if it was just because I wasn't on Instagram, but I noticed you started doing the YouTube stuff again, because I really liked the podcast that you had. I always listened to that, but I know from like what you were saying, it was a lot of work and all the research you had to do for your guests and that sort of stuff. And it's difficult to obviously make these things pay. There's 1,000,001 people who'll tell you can have a dream of being a YouTuber, but you make no money. You end up spending money, like the amount of gear that I buy, it doesn't get paid for from a YouTube channel,
no. Yeah, no, I think another thing that caused me to stop doing the podcast was I was the first bass podcast, one of the first ones anyway. Yeah. And then Dunlop had one, then Ian and Scott did another one, and then someone else, and and everyone was doing a podcast, and they were all interviewing the same people. And I was like, well, sure, what's the point of me doing this? It's just the same people, the same story, same voice. I was primarily interviewing Irish bass players who don't get asked on podcasts, which was cool. But that's one of the reasons why I stopped. Like, I have a list of people here now that I wouldn't, if I go back, I'm trying to find people that have never done a podcast. Like, I did one with Owen O'Neill, who like played in a band called Moving Hearts. He played on with Chris Rea for years. He's the bass player on Driving Home for Christmas. He was telling me they recorded it in the middle of the summer. It was roasting, and they were just doing Driving Home for Christmas. And he played on Riverdance. He was the MD for like 13 years, but he's never done a podcast. I was like, God interview this guy. And Paul Bushnell, you should have him on. Wow, he's some man to chat. And he is like one of the most prolific session bass players in LA. He's played with Elton John, Chris Cornell, everyone. If you see, but people don't know him at all. Like, so It's cool to have those kind of people on. Like, obviously it looks better to have a big name. I have this big name, but sure, they've done hundreds of podcasts, and they're kind of sick of them, really, aren't they? Like, not sick of them, but you get a better chatting out of someone who's never done one, because it's more interesting. Yeah. And you haven't listened to them talk, so you don't know the stories.
Yeah, because you don't want to be hearing like the same guest rehash the same stories, do you, and stuff. I'm getting these sort of content creators for now, and then I'm kind of going to go through sort of bands that I used to love and try and find the bass players and see if they'll come on. And just because I want to talk to them, like there's the guy, I probably won't get this guy, but one of my favourite bands is Mr. Bungle. And I went to see them recently, and they're doing all the thrash stuff now. Met Dave Lombardo outside the gig. But anyway, he's an amazing bass player. All the slap bass stuff.
Ryan
on
Dunn, is that his name?
Trevor Dunn.
Trevor Dunn, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to get him on, because I find people like that interesting, and I've heard him on one podcast, I think, before. And sometimes I'll just search like random names of people I want to hear podcasts and interviews with, and I can't find anything. So if I can get in touch with them people, I'll try and have them on. But yeah, if you've got any recommendations of people I should get on, then fire over some contacts, and I'll
I had someone wanted to get my own podcast. I never got. There's Stephen McGrath, who plays bass with Billy Idol, who I get I get tagged in every week. People are trying, and I'm like, guys, he's this big dude from, I don't know where he's from, but come on, we don't look anything alike. And they're like asking me for free tickets and everything. Like, I'm like, for fuck's sake. And I'd love to chat to him, but he doesn't have any social media. And then there was some Irish bass player who played with John McLaughlin and all the Mahavishnu Orchestra albums.
Cool.
I couldn't find him either. So yeah, some of these guys can be hard to contact, you know, but it'd be great to get chats with these more obscure bass players that you don't hear them chatting or hear their voice as often. That's a good idea. Like, and even going back to what you were saying about not caring about the quality of stuff you're putting out, and also chatting to bass players in original bands. I only thought this the other day, is like, I'm the only bass player I know who puts up stuff online who's in an original band. Like, all these other guys, I don't know what they do. They play in cover bands and they do other things, but I must be the only guy online who's actually in a touring original band. So I've obviously got something to talk about that's different. I'm not like playing like fiery fast licks or doing all this stuff, but I'm definitely have a perspective that isn't out there as much.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, everyone's got a perspective. No matter what you're doing, people sometimes think, oh, well, I'm not interested, or I've not got stories to tell. Everyone has, and that's why I'm kind of like interested to kind of just ask the questions. Like, I'm interested in, like, you know, you've got this upcoming album, you know, how did you record it, you know, and all this sort of stuff, because sometimes people don't get to hear that side of stuff. And also like how people record things themselves when they're like recording at home, and why they put the pedal board together like that, and just little sort of like detailed bass geeky questions. But at the same time, people don't always cover that. They might do like a demo review of a pedal or something like that, but they don't always give you the full insight of what they think about it. They're often just selling like an advert for a pedal. But I'm like, well, do you actually use it? Do you actually like it? What's good about it? What's bad about it? You know, some are sort of like, you know, their opinions, but I think sometimes it's just a case of, I've been sent this and I need to show that it's good, and I need to say good things about it. And exactly. I'm not really into that.
Yeah, they're just using HX Stomp. They've got no pedals. They don't give a crap about it.
Yeah, exactly. So what's next for you in terms of like, have you got any upcoming projects? Or I know you said Sun Merchant, is that the main one in the new album? For
the new Crowback Chicken album out in a few weeks, and then get the first single from Sun Merchant with the funny bass sound, and we've get that album out, and that'll be it. We'll just keep pushing on, and I hope to keep I kind of have a good kind of run now. And with the country band I'm in, we recorded last week, so I have this kind of good flow at the moment with different original projects. Is what, you know, gets me excited. And I want to keep it going. I don't want to be like, oh, it'll be 10 years. I want to just keep kind of, they do this thing now with bands called a waterfall release, where you release like one song and then another song, and you add the other song to it, and you keep building it up, and then your album comes out. So I prefer the idea of, instead of going in and recording a full album, just doing the songs in batches, and it becomes something that you're doing all the time, instead of do an album and wait 10 years and do another one. I don't really want to do that anymore. I prefer going in, get 3 really good songs or 2 good songs, and really craft them and do a great job on all our parts and make them sound awesome. And you're not under any when you have a whole album, you don't have the brain space to listen to all the tracks and be like, we need to change that part, arrange this song, and all the different guitar parts and the vocals and the drums and the bass. When there's a full album of songs, you don't give them all the attention they should get. So it's really cool to just do a batch 2 at a time, or 3, and be like, really polish them and release them out into the world. Yeah, people can listen to them. And also that's a great incentive too. You're like, wow, there are people, I'm not waiting for years to get this thing out there. It's out there now, and I can move on to another batch. So I'd love to keep that going, just keep the momentum.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, we've did an album with my friend, and it was over COVID. It took us absolutely ages, and like we kind of got like enough stuff for another album. But I'm kind of like, how long realistically is it going to take to do a full album? Because you've got kids, I've got a kid. You know, we've only got limited time. I do all the mixing and producing and engineering and all that on it as well. So I said, should we just do a song at a time and release each one as we go? Or should we just maybe just collect, 5 and do an EP? Because, it's a sense of achievement when you release something and you get like a bit of a buzz off it. But you don't want to wait 3 years, and then you're bored of the songs by the time they come out. And then it's a big undertaking doing a full album. So I like that idea of just chunking it up.
Yeah, I'll give you another one. This is something I came up with. Probably stole it off someone, I don't know. So basically, if you have like a detailed piece of art like this, so
Yeah.
that's your full album cover, right? And then I kind of like, we're going to zoom in on different parts, and they'll be like the singles. So you'll zoom in on the piece, and it'll say like whatever the band name, the name of the song, and you'll do that a bunch of times, and then by the end you have your full album. So if you pay like an artist to do like the album cover, you can use that one piece to do all the singles as well, and then there's like a continuity to the whole album as well.
That's really cool. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, getting the momentum, like keeping the momentum going, I think's a good thing, and you feel better yourself as well, because, like you say, you're concentrating on a couple of songs at a time. You put everything into them, and then you're not moving on until you're kind of happy with that. And then you've done your best work on that, and then you've got a clear head for the next one. You're not getting distracted with all the other stuff you still got to have in your head and your parts and stuff. But yeah, it's such a big thing. I think if you were locked down in a studio for like 2 months or 3 months like they used to, and you'd just written an album altogether, that's fine. But no one has that, luxury anymore. You're kind of doing it in the little bit of spare time you have. So it definitely makes sense to kind of just like, chunk it up sort of thing. So where can people sort of find you online? What's your sort of handle and links and stuff?
Yeah, it's just Steve McGrath bass and everything. I joined TikTok yesterday. I don't know if I'm going to keep using it. I'm kind of enjoying it. Like,
Yeah,
it's mad. People see a lot more of your stuff on it than they do on Instagram and YouTube. So a bunch of my students were like, "Hey, Stephen," they found me on it like straight away. So obviously, like, it's a thing for young people are on it more than older people, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's cool. I'll add some links below the episode for your sort of Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and then we'll put some links to your band as well. So I want to thank you for coming on and speaking with me, sharing your thoughts. It's been really good. For anyone out there, if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, subscribe, and rate the podcast. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.
Check it out, lads. Come on now. Subscribe. It's great stuff.
Also.